Starting in the tech industry is hard. There is AI, high competition, complex tech interviews, and so many different things you have to go through. But if you know what you're doing and gonna go through all of those struggles, as the reward, you'll get pretty good high-paying job and satisfying life. And if I were to start everything in my life from scratch, I would choose building IT career as the first step 10 out of 10 times. And in this video, I'll break down exactly what I would have done if I had to start my tech career from zero right now. Hey. My name is Andrew. I'm a senior full-stack developer, and on this channel I help beginners to start in IT and developers to make more. Before we're gonna get to the actual meat of this video and to the framework that I prepared that nobody talks about in the IT industry, quickly about me. I have over 5 years of experience in the IT industry and worked with dozens of different startups valued at tens and hundreds of millions of dollars and managed to scale my career to 6 figures. For the last 2 years, I also run my own online business and recently launched an app called Zaco that made $1,000 within the first week of launch. This one. I'm definitely not the best developer in the world and definitely not the smartest entrepreneur in the industry. And everything that I say is just based on my personal experience with what I tried, what worked for me, what didn't work for me, mistakes that I made, and what I learned from those mistakes. Because I think for you it's better to learn on my mistakes rather than make your own. For the start, quick quote of the day. The way to get started is to quit talking and begin doing. Walt Disney. And if you want to get some results by watching this video and actually change something, after watching the last part here, I definitely recommend you to start doing things immediately. Otherwise, it will be just a wasted time. So let's actually do exactly that. Let's stop talking and get straight to the point. The problem that we are solving today is that the job market is very competitive. And getting the first job without experience is extremely hard in any industry, not just in IT industry. Literally any other industry, getting your first job without experience is pretty hard, especially if it's a high-paying industry. That's why I prepared this video. So today you will find out how to learn how to code, how to get your first experience, how to stand out in a competitive market, how to become irreplaceable by AI, and why every beginner developer should start a business and how you can do it. Quick disclaimer, this video is for you if you're a CS student who wants to get better at coding and eventually land a job, or you want to learn how to become a developer and land a job in IT, or you want to learn how to create apps and start your own business, or you want to learn a valuable online skill and be irreplaceable by AI. But this video is definitely not for you if you're looking for get-rich-quick scheme. For that, you can try to gamble with crypto, where in 99.9% of cases you're just gonna lose all of your money. This video is also not for you if you think that it's impossible to get a job in IT. I'm not here to convince you. I'm here to share experience and tips. And it's also not for you if you're not ready to dedicate next month of your life to work hard, to do things. You're probably in the wrong place. So let's get to the actual framework. First of all, you need to know a couple of facts about IT industry and how the world works overall, because you can't play the game if you don't know the rules. So first of all, you need to understand that people with experience make more money because they simply bring more value and they solve problems better and faster. People with experience also can get a job faster because companies just trust you more, because if you have been working already in the company for years, you probably know how things should be done. You have some understanding about how code works, how to work in a team, how to collaborate, and you probably learned something valuable throughout those years that you can bring to the company. And you simply have more credibility. If you're Josh Moore who has no experience and built one to-do app with React and apply for jobs versus you're a person who helped companies scale to $100 million, most likely if you were working with this company and that company succeeded, probably you're bringing a decent amount of value to this company. And since they didn't fire you after the first day, most likely you were doing a good job. Quick note, if you hear those stories about people who have 10 years of experience and can't find the job, most likely in 90% of the cases, there is something wrong with that exact person rather than with the whole industry. Because yes, of course, if you have experience, you can be laid off or fired, and you might have a couple of month gap while you search for the job. But overall, if you have that amount of experience, even in the toughest market, you'll be a valuable addition to almost any company or startup. And after 10 years, you should probably have already some good connections, good friends from other companies. And if you were doing a good job, most likely some of those people will probably recommend you somewhere, or you'll be able to just find a job by applying and by showing your experience. So those people who have 10 years of experience and can't find a job, probably there's something definitely wrong with them, either with their communication or self-representation skills or something else. And the reason why companies want more experienced people is because your experience proves those 3 things that every company cares about the most. Keep those 3 things in mind because we're gonna get back to them in a bit. First one is that you can do a good work. You can do that good work on time, aka hit deadlines, and you don't need to be micromanaged. So you can responsibly manage your own work and be efficient. So your experience is the key that gives you an unfair advantage during the job search. But how can you get your first experience if companies are only hiring people with actual experience? Where can you get get this first experience. Let's break it down. Step number 0, not even 1, but 0 is to learn how to code. Because if you don't know how to code, there is no point in applying for jobs or hoping that you're gonna learn it during your internship. Most likely you're gonna fail interview, or even if you're gonna pass interview, you won't be able to deliver a good job on that internship if you don't know how to code. Moreover, without coding knowledge, you simply won't be able to build literally anything. So you need good coding skills to build things and get a job. The most common mistake people make during learning how to code is that they learn programming languages instead of tech stacks. And they simply know JavaScript, Python, Java, C++, but they can't build anything. So if I were to start, instead of learning just JavaScript or just Python or just C++, I would have learned a specific tech stack that would have allowed me to build real-world projects. For example, instead of learning JavaScript, I would have learned web development tech stack that includes HTML, CSS, JavaScript, React, Next.js, and maybe a couple of other small things. Because with that tech stack, you'll be able to actually build real-world web apps or even mobile apps if you learn also React Native. Create something real-world worthy that looks cool, that can be used in your portfolio. And that's actually what you're going to be doing on your job. On your job, you're going to be actually building real-world projects, applications, websites, web apps, mobile apps, systems, whatever. So this is not even a step 1, this is like literally step 0, learn how to code. Step number 1 after learning how to code is to start creating projects. Because building projects is one of the best ways to learn how to code. Of course, you need to study some theory, practice with like smaller things, but at a certain point you just gotta start build projects. And by building your own projects, you'll learn a lot about problem solving because you're gonna be having a bunch of problems, errors, mistakes. So you're gonna learn it the hard way by having those problems and solving them. You're also gonna learn how to Google things and how to find information in the internet, and also how to use AI. If you wanna be more productive than other engineers, you gotta use a lot of AI. Also, building projects will give you practice that will help you to remember more things, build muscle memory, and feel more confident during interviews. When I interview beginners, it's always super clear to see if somebody built a lot of projects and somebody who just studied courses and tutorials. Because if you build some projects, even when I ask you a theory question, you can answer with an example from real world how this theory helped you to solve certain real world problem. And hearing such an answer from a junior developer is literally gold. It makes me want to hire this candidate immediately because I know this person will be able to deliver a great work. And also building a couple of small projects will give you a good foundation for the next steps. Step number 2 is to leverage AI. Never forget about AI. AI hasn't completely changed how developers work, but it changed so many different things and it makes the work just so much faster. So you need to learn how to use Cursor, ChatGPT, Claude, any other new AIs that's gonna be popping up, and start using it to become a 10x engineer. But as a beginner, please be really careful with AI, because if you're gonna start using it too early, when you still feel not super comfortable with your main tech stack and basic coding functionalities like writing loops, creating functions, etc., by using too much of AI, you won't remember the syntax well, and that lack of knowledge is gonna be slowing you down insanely in the future. Because bad engineers with AI gonna still be bad engineers, average engineers with AI gonna still be average engineers that are a little bit more productive, but good engineers with AI gonna be insanely good engineers that work insanely fast. Because at the very end, AI is just a tool, and you need to be good to be able to use it well. So if you feel that you need more practice, just build a little bit more projects without AI to get more confidence with those skills, and then you can start using it more and more. Step number 3 is to build your own startup. And please do not get scared by the word startup here, because building a startup is definitely not easy, but it's way simpler than you might think. And I recently found this great tweet that it's easier to start a company than it's just to get a job. And for beginners, it's 100% true. It's easier to create a job for yourself rather than to find a job. So creating your own startup will help you to get real-world experience and prove to the companies that, first of all, you can do good work. So you remember here we covered what companies care the most about. By building the startup, you'll be able to deliver on all of those 3 things. So that you can do good work. So your actual product has to look great and professional. So your startup should not be another to-do or movie app. It should be an actual professional product that solves real-world problems, that you can deliver things on time. So you need to have a public deadline and launch your startup before the deadline. And by doing that, you'll be able to prove to the companies that you can set deadlines, you can hit those deadlines, so that you can prioritize tasks, that you can prioritize work, that you can manage the work that can be done till the certain deadline. That's actually the next point, that you can manage your own work properly. If you were able to build the whole startup from scratch, launch it, make it look and work good, and do it on time, it means that most likely you're going to be able to do the same type of work at the same level for the company. So creating your own startup will first of all help you to stand out among the competition, because most of the graduates from universities or boot camps or just courses, they have super simple, boring projects. And you're going to have an actual real world app that is used by actual people. That makes you 10x more attractive candidate than any other candidate. You'll also learn 1000x more things about coding that you will learn from YouTube, university courses, or tutorials. Because when you're gonna build real-world complex systems that solve actual problems, that's gonna be definitely tough, but you're gonna learn so many things and you're gonna feel so much more confident. Because if you build, email management system and you apply to also a company that builds such a system, of course it will be like much bigger, much more complex. But if you build such a system on your own, why wouldn't you be able to build it for the company? It will be actually easy because you already did it. You know how to do things. You'll also get real-world experience to boost your credibility on the market. So you can actually add that experience to your resume, to your LinkedIn. You don't have to lie. You can be honest that this is your solo founded startup. Besides sharpening your coding skills while building the startup, you'll also learn a bunch of online skills like marketing, product creation, content creation, copywriting, and so much more. Like imagine being a person who can code the whole app from scratch, then find users, aka market it, and be able to sell it. It's like being real-world Tony Stark, and it's definitely the best stack of skills for the next decade to not be replaceable by AI, because AI cannot replace entrepreneurs. And also by building a startup, you have a chance that this idea will actually work and gonna start generating a side income for you. Or even maybe turn into a full-time job and you won't even have to search for jobs. And step number 4 is the most effective and the most important step of the whole framework, is to parallelize startup and job search. So working on your startup will help you to keep the momentum of learning, will help you to keep your coding skills on a good level and actually grow your skills. But in the meantime, you can apply for jobs and use your startup as real experience. Really common mistake that most people make is that when they start applying for jobs, they stop coding, and after a couple of months, when they finally get their first coding interview, they're not in their best shape and they actually fail it because they haven't been coding for a month while they were applying and they forgot a lot of things. I see it happening quite often. But because you're gonna be actively working on your startup, you're gonna be coding almost on a daily basis. So on interview, you'll be able to sell yourself way better and just crush it with your knowledge. Moreover, the skills that you're gonna get during startup creation will help you to be way more attractive candidate, because you're not only gonna have great coding skills, you're also gonna know the language that IT world speaks. You're gonna know what is profit margins, deployments, email marketing, A/B tests, and so many other things that will help you to look way more attractive than other candidates, especially when you're gonna be talking like with HR manager. You're gonna be able to show that you know how things are done in IT, how to grow the product, how to market it. And although those things are not going to be your main responsibilities on the job, you still apply the developer, so your main job will be writing code. But self-aware developer who not just simply writes the code, but can also contribute to the team, to the product, to the tasks, is much better candidate than just simply good coder. I know, at this point you might be having a lot of like tricky questions and things that you're not fully sure about, so let's quickly go through the main ones. The first one that most people worry about is that companies will worry about your startup and won't want to hire you because you're already working on the project. But honestly, it's all about how you position. If you say that your main focus is to build your career and you'll be 100% committed to the role, the fact that you have a startup will actually help, especially if you apply to other startups. That's, by the way, how I got one of my jobs. I literally said that I'm working on that startup, and that's what I learned. That's what I was able to build, and I was able to win the position over other thousands of candidates because the fact that I have the startup showed that I am a hustler person who is able to work hard, who is able to deliver things, who is able to create stuff and contribute well to the product. And you need to understand that Fortune 500 companies like Apple, Microsoft, Google, and so on aren't the only companies who need developers. Yes, they pay the most, especially in US, but the competition there is also insane and the recruitment process takes months. So for a lot of people, it's worth applying to smaller companies to get your first experience and start making money. You are not cooked if your first job is not 6 figures. At my first job, I was making $1,200 a month. It was barely enough to cover the rent, but although it wasn't a high-paying job, there were still 100 candidates for that one single position. And even though I started with such a low salary, I was still able to grow my career to over 6 figures in just 3 years. And that growth in career helped me to start my business, helped me to start this content creation, helped me to visit over 19 countries, and so many other things that I dreamt of. So the first experience is the hardest to get, and the purpose of it is to learn, not to earn. And if you're gonna keep improving and growing as a developer, the money will come. Another thing people say is that starting a business costs a lot of money, and that's completely wrong. Building your own app is absolutely free. Okay, maybe $10 for domain, you can host it for free on Vercel, and that's all what you need. You just need time and energy for that. Also, as you'll learn how to code yourself, you won't have to spend thousands of dollars to hire a developer, because that's still, up to this day, is the biggest expense in creating like products, apps, is hiring a developer, especially if you want to create something complex. You can't do it with no-code tools. And with organic content like TikTok, Shorts, Reels, you can promote your app without even spending anything on marketing or ads. Also, you probably have a bunch of questions about like legalization, what about like taxes, company registration, and so many other things related to startup creation. First of all, you need to understand that you don't need to register a company and pay taxes until you start making money. So if you're just building your own web app and you're not actually making anything of it, you don't need to like register anything. And before you're gonna start earning your first money from your startup, it will take a lot of time and effort. So you can figure out the taxes and legal processes at that point a little later. For now, I would recommend focusing on actually building things, getting some users, improving the product, and trying to grow it. And then when somebody's gonna want to pay you something, at that point you will figure out how to handle taxes and all of that. It's actually not that hard and not that expensive, so I wouldn't worry about that too much at this point. And you probably have a question, Andrew, where do I start with that startup creation and learning how to code? I can recommend this website called Zacode. This is the startup that I built. Basically, the framework that I share today is the exact philosophy of Zacode. There, you're not just learning how to code, but you're also learning how to build business at the same time to get your experience and to be able to stand out among other candidates. So on Zacode, we have the career path and business path. Career path is that's where you're gonna learn how to code and build projects. And in the business path that you can do in the meantime, you can learn how to actually create your own startup, how to find a profitable idea, how to validate it, how to build an audience around it, build an MVP, monetize it, market it, launch it, then grow it, and even how to legalize. The link for the app is in the description. You can try the first lesson for free, and you can also use code Andrew during checkout and get a cool discount personally from me. That's it for today. If you got interested in startup creation, you can check out this video where I break down exactly everything that I learned throughout 2 years of running a business as a developer. See you there.